talked about a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and that had one formula. And that was pretty easy because the two legs were the same. And then you just had a leg and a hypotenuse. In today's, what happens is we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and our legs are not the same. So across from the right angle is the hypotenuse, and that we use an H for. And the legs are not the same, so what they do is they use an S to stand for the shortest leg, and L to stand for the longest leg. How you know which one is the shortest leg is it's always across, well, that's interesting. It's always across from the 30-degree angle. The longest leg is always across from the 60-degree angle. So when you get a problem today, you're gonna have a 30, a 60, 90. You're gonna label the H for the hypotenuse, go across from the 30 and label the S, go across from the 60 and label the L. Then, another thing that's a little bit harder today is there's two formulas instead of one. So let's just go ahead and start one, and then I'll explain how we do this. So you're gonna get a problem that has a 90, and then they usually give you either the 30 or the 60. If one's 90 and one's 30, automatically the other one is 60. I mean, you could do the math and add them and subtract from 180, but you'll always have a 30, 60, 90 here. Then what you're gonna do is label the different sides you have. So across from the right angle is our H, across from the 30-degree angle is our S, and that stands for shortest leg, and across from the 60-degree angle is our L, and that stands for longest leg, okay? Now I always get the question of how do I know which formula that I can start with? And what it depends upon is what you know. You're always gonna know one of these three. In this one, I'm given the S. Notice in these two formulas, they both have an S, so that means it doesn't matter which one you start. If you're given the H, notice only the left formula has an H, so you would start there. If you were given the L, you would start here, okay? So now what we have is our S is 9. So if I'm gonna start here, the hypotenuse is X, the S is 9, so I just put that in there, and this one's super easy, 2 times 9 is 18, okay? Then I would get in the habit of going back and putting this in there just in case you need it for the second one. And now what we're gonna do is do the second part. The L is our Y, the S is 9, and then it's √3. Can we leave it like that from what we learned yesterday? You can, okay? Yep.
So if it's saying find X, then why are we finding Y?
Oh, it's supposed to say find X and Y, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll always be finding both today. Yeah, that's just a typo. So if we do, say that you don't want to leave it like that, then what you're gonna do is just go to your calculator and go 9 times square root of 3, and that is 15.59. So I don't care which way you do it, that's up to you, okay? And I think yesterday I was saying in trig is when you're gonna have to rationalize them, that's true. But another place that they're really you're gonna learn this a lot is in Algebra 2 next year, okay? As far as like radicals, you do a lot of that next year. So if I look at this one, remember if that's 30 and that's 90, this has to be 60. and then across from the right angle is my H, across from the 30 is my S, across from the 60 is my L, and then I would go ahead and substitute in. Now in this one, we're given the H. If you are given the H, you start here, okay? So H is 11, and then it's 2 times S, which you want to find X, so you want to substitute that in. And then we would just divide by 2, and X would be 5.5. Okay, you could have left that as 11/2 or 5.5. Any of those are okay. All right, now what we're gonna do is go over here, and like I said, get in the habit of putting, once you get an answer, put it back here. Then it says L, and L is our Y. S is what we just found, and that's 5.5, and then times √3. So again, this is okay. You could leave it like this, or you could go to your calculator and go 5.5 times square root of 3, and it would be 9.53. Now if we go down to C, so for this one we have a 90 and a 60, so this would be our 30. Across from the right angle is going to be my H, across from the 30 is S, across from 60 is L, okay? Now the hypotenuse and the shortest side we don't know in this one. We know the L. When you know the L, you have to start with the second formula. So the L is what I know, so that's 12. S is X. Okay. Now, how would I solve this one? Don't I have to divide by square root of 3? So these would be gone. And now what you're going to do is the rationalizing the denominator or just typing it in your calculator. Okay, I'll do the rationalizing if you want to do it, and then we'll type it into our calculator. Either way works. So if you're rationalizing, you're going to multiply the bottom by √3. Okay, and what you would get then on top would be 12 √3. What's √3 times √3? 3. And then do you guys remember how you can't simplify what's under the radical, but you can simplify this? 12/3, what does that reduce down to? 4. Okay, so 4 √3 is one answer that you could have had. If you went back and just typed in 12 √3 or typed in 4 times √3, they'd be the same. But if I do 12 divided by √3, did you guys get 6.92 or 6.93? So this would be or 6.93. Okay. Now that is one of my answers. So I'm going to go back over and write that on here. It's either 4 √3 or it is 6.93. Okay. Now if we go to do this last part here, the hypotenuse is Y, and the S, it depends which one you use as to what your answer is going to be. Let's say that you do the 4 √3. Okay, that would be fine. When you do this, you only multiply the 2 and the 4. Okay, so what you would do is 2 times 4 is 8, and then you'd have your √3. So you only multiply the two numbers outside of the radical. If you did it the other way, okay, if we did it the other way, y would equal 2 times 6.93. And if I do that, depending on if you put the whole number in or not, it would be, well, actually both ways, that's 13.86. So you only have to have one of those, obviously. All right, so now let's go to this one. And again, if that's 90 and this is 30, this is gonna be 60. Across from the 90 is gonna be my H, across from the 30 is S, across from the 60 is L. So again, in this one, we're given our L, so that means we go to the formula with the L and start there. So this is 9 root 3 equals, our S is X again, times root 3, okay? If I go to divide by root 3, do you guys see what happens? What would I get? 9, yeah. Okay, so my X is 9. Then I'm gonna come back over here and do this one. So my H is Y, and my S is 9, so Y is 18. Okay. All right. So now let's go to our last page. This is going back to what we learned yesterday. These are 45, 45, 90 triangles. And so this is using just the one formula that we did yesterday. So if we look at this, it says in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, so this is 45, this is 45, and that's 90, okay? It has a hypotenuse of 16. So across from the right angle is the hypotenuse, and that's 16. If you guys remember from yesterday, we called the two legs L's, and remember they were congruent, and across from the right angle was our H. So now I'm just gonna go back over here and solve this. The H is 16, the L is what I'm looking for, and it's times root 2. And then I would just divide by root 2, okay? And L would equal, and then we would just do 16 divided by root 2 if you were doing it just on your calculator. So so 16 divided by root 2 is 11.31. Okay, that's one answer. Or another thing you could have done is, I shouldn't even have written that. Another thing you could have done is if you have 16 divided by root 2 and you rationalize that, you'd multiply by root 2 on top and bottom. These on top you get 16 root 2, and then on the bottom root 2 times root 2 is 2. Can you reduce 16 over 2? Yes, and that would be 8 root 2. So again, you only need one of those answers. All right, then if we go to our last question, again, it's a 45, 45, 90. So if this is 45 and this is 45, across from my right angle is my H. These two are equal and there are L's. And then if I go to hypotenuse equals leg times root 2, what they're telling me on this one is that I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle with a leg length of 14. So this is 14, which also this would be, okay? So if I came back over here, my hypotenuse would be 14 times root 2, which I could leave it like, or if I went to my calculator, I could do 14 times root 2, which is 19.8. Okay. Now, if we look down here, you have two things that you're gonna work on today. One is this worksheet that's posted on Schoology, but you're not gonna listen to the numbers that it says in the upper right-hand corner. Instead, what you're gonna do, if I can go to Schoology quick.
Page 21, 7 through 12, and page 29 to 14.
Yes, so you're gonna open the worksheet that is provided, but you're gonna look at instead which ones I put on there. So there's like 6 or so questions on each side of the worksheet. You're gonna do that. And then you're also going to do the practice quiz. So I'm gonna hand out the practice quiz. It's not gonna take you all hour, I promise, okay? So I'm gonna hand out the practice quiz, and then you're gonna do the assignment, and then you're gonna staple it together. And the key to the practice quiz is gonna be up here. If there's anyone that can't find that worksheet, make sure you let me know. I'll write it up there, yeah. It says in Schoology which problems to do on the worksheet, but I will also, so, if you guys look here, here's the worksheet, and these are the problems you're gonna do, okay? Then the practice quiz, here's the key if you wanna look there. So you're gonna open this worksheet, do those problems on it, and then the practice quiz I gave you, you're gonna be able to check your answers either here or here, okay?